I feel like I can do. I should do Smelly Cat. You know, Smelly Cat, Smelly Cat. What are they feeding you? Just because of the gravelly, you know.
Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Consummation Sant.
And me, gravelly as always, Atreya.
And this week we are going to continue our run up to Halloween, where I will be taking a scary apparent haunting, and Atreya will try and convince me it's true.
I hate it when you use the word apparent, because that means you don't believe it. So if you've picked a one that straight out has already been disproved, you're going to make my life very hard again this week, aren't you? Is this one more believable?
On that bombshell,
Oh,
we'll be talking about the Amityville hauntings.
Okay, I can work with this one. I can work with it.
Okay, fine. This was one of the very first, out there paranormal stories that I kind of heard about, and it was all due to the film, the 1979 film, the Amityville Horror, and
much better than the remake,
which had Ryan Reynolds in it. What?
I know but it was terrible. The remake was terrible. I mean, the original wasn't amazing, but it was so much better than the remake.
Yeah, I've never seen either of them, to be honest.
I bet Ryan Reynolds watches it back now and cringes.
It's like his Green Lantern all over again.
Oh, God, yeah. He's got quite a few of those films, though, to be fair.
He does, yeah. He has got a few swings and misses. But
Anyway,
digress. So, where to begin? In 1974, Ronald Defeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his own family at 112 Ocean Avenue. Now, there's lots of subjective stuff with the murders and the devil made him do it and this, that and the other. There's a few things that they said that the position of the bodies was unnatural, one of the bodies had been moved, and there's some kind of circumstantial evidence that his sister Dawn was involved, and there may have been a closer familial bond there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but it's just rumours, and that there's nothing that we can actually pin down. I mean, what Ronald did say is that he was watching an army film, and he was a bit groggy, and a hooded person handed him the gun. And when he was on the stand, a priest watched his performance and did say that he thought he was possessed by the devil. But Defeo died earlier this year, and he never said anything more about it, really, so we'll never know as to what happened. But in 1975, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, they bought the house at a knockdown price of apparently $80,000, which I think it's like a 5-bedroom house or something.
It's massive. It's a massive house.
So it was even for that time, it was kind of a steal. But when the estate agent kind of said, just got to disclose that something horrendous happened here.
Do they have to disclose it, though?
Legally they do. Nowadays they do.
They?
I know that if there's a murder or a suicide that's happened in the place,
would it bother you if you could get a massive farm, like a house with a boathouse and everything for $80,000? It wouldn't bother me.
No, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Be like, I don't care.
Yeah, I totally understand why they were still like, and
yeah,
we've got a boathouse. Hello.
Exactly. I mean, basically, they kind of went, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they went on further to say the Defeo slayings weren't something that would bother us. But
well, exactly.
it may have done. They moved in.
He's a floral. Get the bloodstains out, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff.
I mean, and that's the thing as well. I mean, that can only be a bonus. Well, not a bonus, right? Not a bonus. But it's been deep cleaned. Do you know what? The house has been deep cleaned, so you'd just be moving into like a fresh, clean house. So,
and do you not think, like, you know, when you move into a neighbourhood and, like, well, not over here because, you know, everyone just gives you hacky looks and stuff and you don't really get greetings over here. But, you know, like in America, when you move in somewhere, you get like a fruitcake and the whole neighbourhood comes round to say hi and stuff, and they bring you, you know, lasagnas and pastas and casseroles and shit. At least they do in the movies. I don't know if that's a real thing. Maybe they give you hacky looks in America as well. I don't know. But, like, it wouldn't be weird, would it? Like, having rando strangers just walk into your house, because you can be like, yeah, so, hi, yeah, we just moved into the neighbourhood. Oh, my God, did you hear about what happened in my house? Wow, gruesome, wasn't it? And it's a talking point. Like, it won't be any awkward silences with the neighbours.
Exactly.
You know?
You've got dinner parties sorted, then.
Exactly.
You've
got Halloween sorted.
You don't even need to host. You can just go, yeah, this is where it all happened.
Exactly. There used to be a rug down there, but I thought, why hide what's part of the house? Yes, it is a bloodstain. You know, it sounds macabre. I'm only joking, obviously, but it wouldn't put me off at all, because, you know, what's in the past is in the past, and it's a great steal for a house.
Exactly, and ghosts don't exist, so.
Well, we'll see.
So on the 18th of December, they started moving their stuff in, but upon hearing of where the backstory to it and where they were going to live, I think it was one of their sister-in-laws or brother-in-laws said, I think you need to get the house blessed, because there's a lot of evil involved in this house from what I've read. And they had a Father Mancuso, who was a lawyer, a judge, and a psychotherapist for the Catholic Church. He came around to bless the house. I know, yeah, he's moonlighting, isn't he?
That's like a lockdown CV, isn't it? Like, he had nothing to do, so he was like, "I'll do fire safety. I'll get my priestship. I'll do a psychotherapy course. Aye, fuck it, whatever."
I mean, what's he doing at the end of the day? He's taking mass, twice a week?
True. He's got like manual handling on there as well. Like, first aid at work. Criminology, probably.
I could drive
Demonology.
Drive a forklift truck. Just bored.
He's just like, well, you know, if I ever decide I want to get married and I can't be a priest anymore, I can always be an FLT driver.
Exactly. Right. Okay, now we need them.
We do. And HGV drivers.
Yeah. So all them priests out
there
now, rubbing their hands, going, I'm so glad I had all that free time.
Long distance lorry driver. That's the job for me.
Still doing it.
Balls to this dog collar.
They'll still be doing it with a dog collar on. Just imagine that.
Well, hey, there's a priest that writes movie reviews for 14 Times.
See, spare time. That's all
exactly.
I can say.
He's kind of funny as well. I like him. He's just called the Reverend.
Well, of course he is.
He writes movie reviews on horror movies and stuff, and he's very funny. I enjoy him. I think he should just give up being a priest and just be a movie critic, but not just for 14 Times, because there's only like 14 readers. Ha, butch.
Almost.
You could add a laugh track.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Continue.
So, basically, so this priest came round, and another part of the reason was because the Lutzi's actually kept most of the Defeo's furniture in the house.
See, that's wrong.
Because it cost £400 to keep all the furniture in, so they were like, yeah, we'll do that as well, because why not?
Oh, I don't want somebody else's couch, so. That's
the thing, and especially, yeah. I don't mind the house, but the furniture.
Mm-hmm. Like tables and stuff and tables. That's okay, but I don't want to sit on somebody else's couch. What if they farted on it? They probably did fart on it, and I don't want to sit in their fart. And I don't want their fridge, because I'm very particular about cleanliness in a fridge. I don't want somebody's used fridge, and I certainly don't want somebody's used bed.
Yeah.
Because that's skank.
That's odd. That.
Mm-hmm. I'd be like, I'll take the chest of drawers. I'll take that wardrobe, but only because it's massive and there's no built-in wardrobes here. I'll take the end tables and I'll take the dinner table and chairs, only because they're all wooden and there's no upholstery. Everything else, you can send it to the British Heart. But I guess if they was a big family, weren't they, the Lutzes? They had kind of few kids.
Yeah, 4 kids.
Mm-hmm. So there was like six of them and a dog.
Of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's a lot of furniture to buy if you're just newly married and just settling into your first house, I suppose.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, while the priest was doing this blessing, apparently when he walked into one of the bedrooms, he heard a masculine voice saying, "Get out!" But he didn't think this was important enough to tell the Lutzes.
Was that your masculine impression as well?
That's as masculine as I get.
Oh, okay.
And when he left, he started developing a high fever and blisters on his hands, which were claimed to be like stigmata.
How can a blister be like stigmata?
So
like,
it was on the palm of his hands, and
I feel like the stigmata people probably are going to say that is not even remotely like I'm bleeding from my hands and my eyes. It is not the same as you having a little fucking blister on your hand. Like you've been playing golf too long.
All I'm saying, he's a priest and he's got plenty of spare time. He's got blisters on his hands. I mean...
Wow. Imagine what his dick looks like.
Jesus. Ask the altar boys.
Ooh. Sick burn.
Oh, take that, Catholic Church. So the priest actually did ring them a week later when he possibly recovered from this, and he told them to don't turn that room into a bedroom because there's a presence in there. And the Lutzes took him up on this offer and turned it into a sewing room.
As if that's even a thing. I mean, I guess it was in the 70s, but...
My mum's got one. That's all I'm going to say.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm glad that I had the heads up before we interview her.
Wow.
Because I would hate to say, what kind of idiot has a sewing room? And then...
Oh, why did I say
absolutely
anything? Oh.
Have your mum wipe the floor with me.
Yeah. It could have ended before it began, that.
It could have been nasty. Thanks for the heads up.
Over the next 28 days, a number of strange incidents started to happen around the house. Flies started swarming in rooms on multiple occasions, and even when they got the fly spray out and all the windows were closed, they would appear a couple of days later.
We've all experienced it this summer, let's face it.
Well, yeah.
Fuckers are everywhere, aren't they?
Indeed, they're still going as well.
I know, you let them out the door and they fly back straight through the fucking window and you're like, hello? And they're like, I can't get out. You've just been out! How stupid are flies?
Idiots.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them.
Yes.
The couple's personality started to change. George lost weight and his personal hygiene deteriorated. I'd just say that's being married, but fine.
You're not wrong.
There were odours of cheap perfume and vomit appearing from nowhere with no source at all.
Ugh.
Black stains appeared on the toilet, and George claimed that their china plates also turned black. Green ooze started to run down the walls, and George woke up every night at 3:15, the time, apparently, of the Defeo murders. And he was always cold in the house, no matter what he was wearing, no matter if he was sat by the fire. I
mean, it's an old house, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was the 70s, so no insulation and stuff like that.
All the houses were cold, yeah.
Yeah.
Put a jumper on.
Yeah, and a hat.
Yeah.
Scarf. Get one of them things for behind the door. Draft excluder.
Draft excluder, yeah.
Kathy was also not let alone by these occurrences. She was touched by unseen hands, and in some cases this forced her to pass out. On one occasion...
That sounds nice.
Well, yeah, just have a nap, innit? I mean, yeah, it depends. Yeah, depends where they
Touched by
touching you.
unseen hands, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm knackered after that. Now I need a nap.
Just need a nap now. And
That was nice.
Need to rehydrate. Oh. And on one occasion, she apparently transformed into a 90-year-old hag and levitated off the bed. George had to grab her before she floated away like some balloon at a theme park that a child has let go.
That is a horrible thing for George to say about his wife. She looked like an old hag, and I basically had to hold her down because she was so fat and floaty. She was like, that scene in Harry Potter when he blows his aunt up and she floats away in the garden like a giant balloon. That was what I married. Wow. Wow, George.
And they say
Tell
chivalry's
it like
dead.
it is. What a dick.
The children as well experienced these occurrences. One of the Lutz's daughters befriended a demonic pig named Jodie.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Specifically a demonic pig. Not just a pig. A demonic pig.
Demonic pig.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Had red eyes.
Uh-huh.
And he would say, I've not, oh, right, hang on a minute. Accent time, it's a quote.
Oh, God. Is this the pig saying this?
No, this is George.
Oh, right, okay.
So George went on to say, Jodie could not be seen by anyone unless he wanted to. At times, it was a little bigger than a teddy bear, and other times, bigger than the house.
Isn't George American?
Yes, but then I can't, but, okay.
That was terrible. That was like Michael Caine if he was holding his breath.
Right, I've got to get into the mindset. Jodie could not be seen by anyone unless he wanted to. At times, it was a little bigger than a teddy bear, and other times, bigger than the house.
Better.
Nailed it.
Well done.
And if you've seen interviews with George, that's exactly as he sounds. And if you've not, don't look interviews up by him. So just before they got out of Dodge and left the house forever, George was awakened to the sound of a marching band in his front room. When he entered the front room, there was silence and no marching band.
It was just the kids playing Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, I mean...
And then they were like, shh, Dad's coming. Put the PlayStation away quickly. Took the dance mat under the couch, the second-hand couch that's been farted on, and then run into the kitchen and pretend that they're still in bed asleep upstairs.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, if the demonic pig didn't do it for me, I think a marching band that's so specific. Why are you being that? Like, could you
like
just
trumpets
said
and
music.
everything, or just
like, do you know, like he said a marching band. So all I can assume is like one of them bands they have at high schools.
That one.
Kinda.
Like in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Where they no, you haven't watched the movie, have you?
No.
They have the high school band march across the field while Heath Ledger's singing songs to Julia Stiles. Very romantic.
Yeah, a bit like that. But I don't think they were playing I Love You Baby.
Hey! You see? We would make an awesome team on Nevermind the Buzzcocks.
Yeah.
Because you would have got that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh, it's just, I mean, most people wouldn't say it was obvious, but it's just...
Not the way you do it. I mean...
It's a skill and a curse.
Yes, definitely, yeah. I mean...
I would enjoy having a marching band in my living room, I'm not going to lie.
In the morning, though, there's times and places.
I don't know, I feel like it'd be a good wake-up. Beats the shit out of coffee.
It'd be a great talking point for the dinner parties. What's that noise? Oh, that's just my marching band, don't worry about it.
It would also probably get you a couple of visits from the council as well.
With a little fucking
It's
meters.
been a noise disturbance. How many decibels is this?
How would they deal with that? Because it's like, yeah, there is a noise disturbance, but I can't see them to shut them up. So, where are we on this? You're still getting fined.
They'd have to just sleep over till they heard it themselves.
So,
sorry, Mum, you can't come visit. I've got a bloke from the council here. He's been staying here for the last 3 months, trying to hear the ghostly marching band that occasionally marches in the living room to "I Love You, Baby" at 6:30 on a morning on every other Wednesday.
Yeah, amazingly, it's not reappeared again since I allegedly heard it. So George was spooked, and on the final night, they've not spoke about what happened on the final night that made them up and leave, and they didn't even take anything. They just took the few possessions that were with them. They went to one of their family members, and the next day a moving truck came round. They've said that it's too horrendous what happened to speak about, and they haven't discussed it, and they won't discuss it because they both passed on. But George contacted Stephen Capelin, who was a parapsychologist, but he introduced himself as a vampirologist.
Wow.
Yeah. So
he's done lockdown CV as well.
Exactly. Jesus. So George went, that seems a little bit odd. And parapsychologist seems normal to you, George. Okay. So on March 6th, 1976, they decided to get our good friends Ed and Lorraine on the case.
This is what fucking ruins the whole thing for me.
I'll be honest with you, it wasn't going well for me before this interjection, but it kind of unravels very, very quickly now.
Mm-hmm.
They entered 112 Ocean Avenue with a phalanx of reporters and other psychics. Obviously, why wouldn't you? And Lorraine said, as I was going up the stairs... Oh, it's a quote. Right, hang on. As I was going up the stairs, I reached the point where it felt as if a force of water was coming against my chest, almost like a waterfall. That's what she sounds like.
Right.
And then the rest of the psychics started chiming in. There's no quotes here, so we're all right. But there was things like crying young girls at the windows, hooded monks closing doors on them, and one of them claimed this place was the closest to hell that existed on Earth.
Wow. I mean,
yeah,
it looked like a nice house to me. I think that's harsh.
Yeah. I mean, one of the guys that did come in, I don't know whether it was with the Warrens or just after, but he I'm not going to say he was a bit but in the documentary I watched about it, he brought in basically this medium who became a vessel for what became known as an Indian chief.
Ugh, why is it always the native Indians? Why'd they always go with that?
Yeah, so this guy claimed that it was a native Indian burial ground that the house was buried on. And
they had a marching band.
Exactly. Maybe diversifying. I don't know. But he did the thing, and apparently this woman started speaking in this gravelly voice, and it was... He said the chief wasn't there to cause distress to people. It was just because of what had happened in the past. There was distress there already. So I really don't know. But what he does say quite. I've not wrote it down, but what he does say something very, very horrible at the end of the doc. Well, it's not horrible, but it's just the way he says it, and he says something along the lines of, "I hope the people that live there now don't wake up in the middle of the night with a fire going on and don't live to regret the decision of buying the house." And it's like, whoa.
I bet those people probably turned around and said, "We won't, thanks. We have state-of-the-art smoke detectors installed. We'll be fine."
Yeah. And as well, the house has been resold a few times since this incident happened, and nothing untoward has been seen.
That's always a bit that makes you kind of, isn't it? Like when the new owners are like, "Haunted, this place." I mean, yes, we got it for 20 grand. Obviously, it's exactly. Haunted. It's not haunted.
Yeah, we'll tell everyone that and make money off ghost tours.
Exactly. Like, we were bartering down the estate agents as well.
Yeah, it's two-way street.
You're having a laugh. Not only did a man try and kill his family in this house, a man did kill his family in this house, and it's haunted by a giant fucking demonic pig. I'm not paying 180 grand for it. Take 20. Do it now. Let's shake on it. Take it or leave it.
Best you're going to get, mate. Best you're going to get.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we will mention the photo from the second floor. A static camera was placed on the second floor landing, and there was 3 rooms that it kind of captured. One on the right, one straight forward, and one on the left. And it took quite a few pictures, and nothing was spotted. But in one picture, there is something that is interesting. It's purported to be the face of a young boy. But I think it could just be maybe double exposure or something wrong with the film, or...
The thing is, right, I know it could be a double exposure, but there weren't any kids there anyway. The people that took the photograph, I don't think they'll have been using their camera to take photos of kids, because that's weird.
Yeah. Unless the priest came back.
True. And it did look, the little boy in the photo did look like one of the Defeo kids. Like, if you compare, like, I can't remember which one it was. I don't know whether it's John or Thomas, one of them. But the picture does look like one of those kids. So for me, it's either 100% a real photo of a ghost, or it's the Warrens faking a photo.
Yeah. And the thing is as well with the photo, it wasn't discovered there and then. It was only discovered after the fact. So when these photos were being catalogued, so no one actually noticed it at the time, and I don't know where the pictures went to be developed. And I mean, it's probably not difficult to fake something like that, but then I don't know. It is odd, and I will say that. But whether it's, the thing is, the kid doesn't really add up to anything, if you know what I mean.
Other than being one of the murdered kids from the house.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only kind of thing there is to it. But then Ed and Lorraine never mentioned any murdered kids wandering around.
Mr. Trick, didn't they?
Yeah. So...
That'd have made it more believable.
Yeah. Or maybe they were actually being haunted, but they made up so much shit they didn't realise.
True.
So, yeah. I mean, there's also this now. They're the ins and outs of the story of what was perpetuated by the Lutzes. And now we'll get into debunking it, I think. So William Webber, a lawyer for Ronald Defeo, contacted Lutzes when they bought the house with a book deal, and he had a verbal agreement with a publisher that this book would get published. Now, when Webber met the Lutzes, he did actually take crime scene photographs with him. So basically, they were, during this meeting that they had, which apparently contained quite a few bottles of wine, they were looking at photos which had police used green residue for the fingerprints, and it was on the walls. There was photos of flies being in the room, because obviously there was dead bodies in there, and they'd been in there for, it was like summer, and they'd been in there for a good few hours. So they kind of had this meeting, and just before they had this meeting, just after they had this meeting, they then did a press conference in which they didn't inform Stephen Kaplan about, which was the first guy that they contacted, the vampirologist. They didn't inform him about, because they basically said to him when they approached him that we can't like afford to pay you, but we need someone to kind of look into this. And what Kaplan said was, well, we're a public service, we don't charge you anything, but if we find something, we will tell people. And if we find nothing and believe you're having us on, we will also tell people that. And after the Lutzes were told this, they kind of stopped contacting them. They said, we don't really want to draw attention to this situation with all the publicity. But then a few days later, they held a press conference with William Webber.
And then hauled the Warrens in at the end. Just like extra press coverage.
Yeah, and it's really weird why they'd go to William Webber in this publicity, because everyone knew he was the Defeo's lawyer.
Yeah. So
surely there's kind of, you're looking at an angle there already.
Looks sus as fuck, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. And the pig was apparently what Ronald Defeo called the neighbour's cat, which was a Persian cat, and it was a big fat Persian cat. So it was called the pig. And it was purported to have red eyes, but obviously cats have eye shine. So if it is like walking past the window, you would see eye shine. And if you see a big fatty cat, and obviously you're going to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how that became a demonic pig, but
I mean,
there you go.
Persian cats have pretty hateful looks, I'm not going to lie. They've nailed the hateful look.
Yeah.
Rest in bitch face is pretty much permanent Persian expression. They have absolutely nailed the most unimpressed, you are a piece of shit on the bottom of my paw face in the world. They've nailed it. That is what they've done. So I can believe that it could be misconstrued as a demonic pig, I guess, if you were stoned or drunk.
But if you were a child as well, and you're being told you're living in this house, I suppose it could. I mean, why you would tell your child you're living in a demonic house? God only knows.
No, you just wouldn't tell the kids anything about the history of the house, would you? You just wouldn't. What kind of nutters tell their kids that? Oh yeah, these beds that you're sleeping in, these very same beds, in fact, not even the same room. The beds you are sleeping in contained the bodies of 2 little boys that were shot by their big brother. Sleep well, night, love you. Like, you just wouldn't, would you? What kind of nutters would do that? Psychos.
Indeed, it was. It's crazy. As well, Jay Anson, who wrote the Amityville Horror, has actually gone on record and saying he did use artistic interpretation with what happened there. I mean, as to how much artistic interpretation he used, I don't know, because obviously this was all concocted by people, and the book, apparently what George Lutz says is the book is exaggerated, but then the film, if the book is exaggerated, it makes the film look like a documentary, because he's trying to say that they took his words and they kind of changed it. But the Lutzes did sell the rights to Anson, and they lost out. I think J. Anson went on to make, like, it sold 20,000 copies in its first print. That's all they did on the first run, and it was more than the publisher wanted to do, but they sold out on the first run, and it made J. Anson a lot of money, whereas I think the Lutzes only got away with a small percentage of it because they'd given up their rights to it.
Serve them right.
Yeah,
they played on another family's tragedy. That's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing as well, and that is the bottom line to all of this. I think Ronald Defeo was ill. I think he had a mental illness, and one night he just snapped. He couldn't take it anymore, and the Lutzes then came in, and along with Ronald Defeo, to be honest with you, because if he's sending his lawyer over to try and get this done, they were all just looking to try and make a little money off this terrible, terrible incident.
See, the Lutzes story, I don't buy at all. Like, that is not the bit of this entire case that intrigues me, because I just think they were bullshitters. As soon as you involve the Warrens, I'm sorry, but that's it. You're not taken as
all credibility out the window.
Yeah, basically. But for me, it's the actual Defeo murders that are interesting, because I don't see how you can sleep so deep that you don't wake up when your family are being shotgun blasted to death. Not a single one of them moved. They were all lying on their fronts. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It seems like a staged thing. Maybe they were drugged. But for one thing, I definitely don't think that Ronnie Defeo just kind of got possessed and went upstairs and shot everybody, because somebody would have woken up. A shotgun blast is not the quietest thing. I mean, you can't put a silencer on a shotgun, let's face it. Right? So nobody woke up. Nobody turned over. All these people are sleeping peacefully in their beds and just let somebody shoot them in the back? Dead? I don't buy it. They were drugged, or there was more than one person involved. I don't know. Maybe Ronnie Defeo was part of some kind of Sons of Sam satanic cult.
Don't say it.
Maybe he was. Maybe there was like 6 of them there, or however many members of the Defeo family there was, and they each had one person over them, and they all shot at the same time. I just don't. I literally wake up if I can hear my cat meowing downstairs, and he doesn't meow very loud. He's like, he can squeak downstairs, and I'm instantly like, I'm up and I'm out. Like, what's the matter? Are you okay? If there was a shotgun, I would be up like a flash. There's no way I could sleep through it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with the murders, and apparently, it does kind of border on some Son of Sam weirdness, because apparently the gun he used was one of the loudest guns that you can get on the market, but none of the neighbours reported hearing any shots.
Exactly.
There was supposed to be either an FBI or a ATF agent watching the Defeo's house at this point. I don't know why this would happen, but apparently, and he told the investigation that he saw Ronnie's sister leave the house that night with something in her hand, and she put it into the trunk of a car, drove off, and then a short while later she returned back to the house. And if there was an agent watching, surely they would have heard the shotgun blasts.
Exactly.
As well. So a lot of they were, like you say, they were all found face down on their beds, all pretty much in the same position, no defensive wounds. So they didn't fight back. They must have come across as startled. And his sister was found to have gunpowder residue on her when they did the autopsy, which would suggest that she did fire a gun recently.
Yeah.
So...
And I don't know if you've ever seen any interviews with Ronnie Defeo. I've seen a lot of interviews with Ronnie Defeo. And he just doesn't seem... it's probably a dumb thing to say, actually, because, you know, that's how serial killers get away with being a serial killer. But he just doesn't seem possessed or nuts to me. Just seems like an ordinary guy. And I know that is a serial killer trait, but it's not like... he is a serial killer, but it's not like... you know, all in one go. It's not like he had a lot of thought behind it. I just don't think that he did it by himself. I think there was more people involved, or another person at least involved. I don't think he was possessed, but I do think that it could border on something. If I say untoward, like, how is murder not untoward? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like
something
Son to Sam kind of
in
deal.
the background going on. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as well, if anything kind of happened in the neighbourhood, it was always assumed that it was something to do with Ronnie. He was a bit of a partier. He was into drinking, drugs, and other such things. So I think that as well kind of just led him.
Yeah.
You know, made him an easy patsy for it. And... I don't know. He never spoke out about it, as far as I'm
aware. Neither did David Berkowitz.
Exactly. So
it's
maybe
the same kind of era.
It is indeed. It is.
Where
indeed.
Satanic cults were, you were cool if you joined a satanic cult.
It's 5 years earlier, weren't it? 1979 was Son of Sam, wasn't it?
Yeah. I bet our parents were both. I bet your mum was in a satanic cult. She'd never admit it, but I think it was cool back then. You know.
Yeah.
It was like being in a D&D group now.
No one would ever admit that.
Nobody does.
Now or then. Well.
No, it just seems to me like bottom line is, if you're shooting that many people, somebody is going to wake up. Somebody is going to hear it, and nobody heard it. And for me, that is the bottom line of, that's not what happened.
Yeah, it's there's something off about the murder. I mean, the Lutzes, they kind of made it all up. It's interesting because one of George's stepson, who was there, who lived in the house, actually claimed in some kind of documentary that it was George who was into the occult. And he kind of drew the demons to them because he was practicing whatever he was practicing. But that's stuck behind a paywall, so that's all I know about it. One of his other sons has gone on to make a documentary as well about how the whole situation affected his life, and again another paywall. So we'll never know about that.
Do you not think though, if George was into the occult, do you not think maybe subliminally he's putting these ideas in everybody's heads, and there's literally nothing going on in the house, but when you turn your heating off at night and all your floorboards like expand and contract with the heat, and it sounds like someone's walking across the floor, and they've already gone, ooh, Dad said this place is haunted. It's probably a ghost walking across the floor. And then you start seeing things in your head because you're already subliminally thinking, oh, this house is haunted and there's demons everywhere and stuff. Like, a lot of it might just... Maybe they were telling the truth, but it was all in their heads. Yeah. I just don't buy it ever happened, but possibly they were subliminally prepped.
I think
for
they
it.
believed something was happening because they were conditioned into thinking that. Like I say, when who would tell their kids that this place is haunted?
Yeah.
Depends if you want to sell the story well enough, because no one's going to think kids are lying. So if you plant them seeds, this place is haunted, watch out, there could be a pig that walks past your windows with shining eyes. Then you start thinking
something more scary than a
I know, yeah,
pig.
You may hear a marching band at 3:00 in the morning.
Some strange things, yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with your dad? Like, do you know? No ghosts.
I love big band.
Yeah, can rock out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe they planted stuff and it was accepted. I believe that maybe the children were thought something was going on.
Yeah.
Because of the history of the house, and maybe these seeds were planted. But as to people floating away off the bed and turning into hags, no.
I think that was just George being really mean about Kathy.
Yeah. And as well, it's interesting to note that there was never any Indian reservations in the area. So it wasn't built on an Indian burial ground. I think the nearest Indian kind of reservations or camps were further over. So quite a lot of the things that they claimed were there and were the cause of this have been largely debunked.
Yeah.
But the Defeo murder is a head scratcher.
Yeah. I know you're all, like I can't get in with the ghost story side, the Lutz's side. I just can't. I can't. I really want it to be true, but I just don't buy it. I don't believe it for a second. But I just feel like there's something more to the Defeo side of it that we'll probably never know because everybody's dead. But I think that like if you could go back in time to that night, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I don't feel like it was just him and he got drunk and stoned and went up and shot his family to death.
It would be unusual for someone to have that kind of mental break and just kill all their family in one night.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you look back at most of the killers and most of what happens, especially with multiple murderers, it's set over a period of time.
Yeah.
Unless like spree killers and they go out with the intention of they're going to cause as much mayhem as possible. But this was something that was, no, I will do this now and I will do this. This has to be done, kind of thing. But,
and I'll do it really quietly so nobody.
No defensive wounds.
In the back.
No defensive wounds. No one waking up. No one moving. They're all. As soon as you heard the first gunshot, like you say, you'd be up out of bed.
Yeah.
And the rooms, they weren't all in one row. You had to go upstairs and then upstairs because it's like a 3-story house. So
yeah,
you had to move up and down. So there would have been movement. Yeah. Even though it's someone they know, they're not going to go, oh, yeah, you want me to lie on my back? Why have you got that gun? What? Ow.
Yeah, it just wouldn't happen, would it? So...
Yeah, no matter how trusting you are with your older brother or... So I can't...
No. I feel like maybe... I haven't done any research really into anybody else's opinions on the Defeo murders. I've just kind of looked at the generalized story and summaries and stuff of the murders themselves. But it might be interesting to see, like on YouTube, if anybody's done digging and done a lot of research behind it and see maybe what other people's theories are.
Yeah, definitely, because there's I mean, even in the documentary, there was quite a lot of evidence circumstantial evidence, let's say, that was pointing that he didn't do it on his own.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the Defeo case is a very interesting case, and especially because I think it just kind of gets put in the background because it sets up the Amityville thing. So I don't really think it's kind of a part one of a 2-part story.
Yeah, which is kind of a shame because, you know, potentially the Defeos actually could have justice.
Yeah,
know?
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing as well. There was six people that died that night, and everyone's just saying, no, it's fine. It was just their brother had a bad day and took it out on him. But maybe he did. But the evidence kind of doesn't add up to that happening.
Yeah,
for us.
Totally.
But yeah, so that
on a
was
postcard.
Yeah, indeed. That was another one debunked there. You're 0 for 2 now.
Wait, you keep picking. You are doing this on purpose. You keep picking cases that you know I'm going to say. How can I prove that? I cannot prove that because it didn't happen.
Maybe you need to try.
Maybe you're doing it on purpose. Even Zach Bagans couldn't wangle that one.
I'm just going over the most famous, the ones that should be making me go, oh yeah, I do believe that.
What about Enfield? You could have picked Enfield.
Innit? Ed and Lorraine.
Yeah, but the people didn't really want Ed and Lorraine there. They were forced.
Excitable children. It's quite funny because when like I love that thing of like when Ed when they turned up, they were basically like, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Like, we're dead famous Ghostbusters. He went, no,
never heard you.
Go away.
Never heard you.
Yeah.
Get off me front doorstep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Maybe that will be next week's.
Maybe. But I doubt it.
You know me too well.
Yeah, you're going to pick one that's already debunked. Another one that didn't happen.
What, like all of them? It's not
Some of them happened.
There's an ocean of stuff.
God. There's some... Do you know what? I've covered the real ones. I've covered them.
Yeah. And, can look in our back catalogue to see if I was... If I had my head turned by them or whether I debunked them.
You did. You a little bit turned your head for Flight 401. Yeah, a little bit.
Little.
A little bit. So check that out in the back catalogue because that's the most compelling one I've ever read. I actually read that book afterwards and I was like, I'm not afraid of being dead anymore. I did. I literally read it and I was like, I actually am not frightened of dying anymore. I'm like, I'm cool with it. I can just come back and crack on with my life like I did before, except I won't have to do the hoovering. I won't have to worry about eating healthy or cholesterol. I won't have to exercise. I can just do whatever I want, whenever I want, because I'm dead. But it's like being alive, but good.
Yeah, I'll just live in the overhead game baggage area in a plane for the rest of my life.
He didn't live in the overhead baggage fucking... No.
That's where he was seen.
No, he wasn't. He was seen in the cockpit. He was seen in the gallery the galley, sorry. You know where they make all the meals in the big microwaves. There. And in the, in the, underneath the plane where they do all the repairs and shit. I'm not very...
Yeah, I love the scientific engineering knowledge here. That bit,
I'm not a pilot, but yes, that's compelling. Look at that one.
Yes, and as always, like, subscribe and comment. It helps the algorithm. Yeah. Of course. On that bombshell, this has been the MO podcast with me, Contumacious Anne.
And me, Atreya.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we shall see you next time.
The
Bye.
MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast.